We are 35 years after the original Friday the 13th comes out. For the two of you that were there at the beginning, I mean, did you ever anticipate at that time that it's something that would still be a point of discussion, much less that they're still interested in making a video game and even more movies based on that franchise?
Well, I don't know about you, but you don't have time to think about those things. When we were doing it, we were just, trying to do the best job possible and making it as realistic as possible. This started the whole decade of splatter, I think,
No,
that and Dawn of the Dead together, that double punch there. I was always curious, though, at how you came up with the
you owe me a nickel, because every time I get a nickel. Can I have it? Okay. The way I came up with it was simple. As we all know, the killer was never seen until Reel 9. The killer was there, people were talking to him or whatever, and so that I had to find some way to make the cameraman not the killer, and make when Jason, or in this case, Mrs. Voorhees was present, I had to make that clear to the audience that, uh-oh, as opposed to it's just a camera shot. There was that close-up of Betsy, where it was a close-up of her mouth, and she's going, kill her, Jimmy, kill her, mommy, kill her, mommy. We saw her mouth say that, and Sean had said to me, can we get a chorus? And I'm going like, oh yeah, right.
A Greek chorus?
Or an actual chorus, and I'm going like, we're lucky we have players, we're this is, guerrilla filmmaking going on here. Anyway, but I saw that, and I said, she hears voices. She hears this in her head.
Oh, okay.
So I took killer, mommy, I took k and ma. And then I just went up to a microphone and ran it through a
clever little devil.
So it's your voice.
It's me. I can do it for you right now. So I would just go to a mic and go, k, ma. And then we ran it through this gizmo called an echoplex, and it went k, 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 ma. Like that.
I'm curious, and if you're here, then are we to expect that in the game?
I would say yes.
Since you're here?
Yes.
Or we just brought you in to tell us the story?
No, I just came in for the story. But you can not only expect it in the game, it will be there. I think one of the weird things for me in writing this music is that one of the players is the killer.
We're going to use it exactly the way you did in the films.
Right. I mean, you use it for that. But the thing is that I've actually never written music for Jason. I mean, I'm always writing the music point of view of the audience or the character who's about to be killed. So I'm sitting there going, well, what kind of music does Jason actually hear?
It has to veer off key.
Oh, it'd have to be crazy. Yeah. But Jason would hear a carload of, because it would be there all the time. So that's one of my challenges kind of in this is like, what the heck does the music for Jason when you are playing?
I know,
Jason,
but doesn't that theme signal Jason's presence?
Yes, but my answer is that it signals Jason's presence to the people who are
not Jason.
Not Jason.
Right.
But
So what's he
to
here?
Jason, it's almost like a loop.
It's his mother saying kill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. There's a sense of overload. If we have that playing all the time, as you're walking around as Jason, it's going to be too much. So we have to find a creative way.
But I've got to find a way to create some music for Jason that's just like the angry, dark
bagpipes.
Bagpipes.
Ronnie, so what was your impetus to say, like, okay, I want to do this?
For some reason, for whatever the reason are, it hasn't been done. Only one time ever have we actually had a Friday the 13th video game. And even when we did, it wasn't like this. You could never walk around Crystal Lake as Jason and hunt down camp counselors. Or on the reverse side, you could never be a counselor and try to escape Jason. You were always watching the films, yelling at them not to do this or to do that. Like, now you get to participate in it. The whole team has been a big fan of Friday the 13th for a long time, and it's a game that we've been wanting to make for a very long time. And you keep waiting for someone else to do it, and it never happens. And you're looking around like what is everyone waiting on? So then we go, hey, now's the time. We know the franchise. Let's just do it ourselves, and that was kind of the blueprint that got us here.
And of course, do it as a multiplayer game. So you're covering the whole experience from all aspects. The counselor's trying to survive the night and get away, and then Jason just rampaging. His only goal is to kill everyone, right?
Yep.
So Tom, I mean, I think you are so integral to what sort of gives this franchise its lasting power with the effects, which having just gone back and watched the original again, the initial throat cutting scene is just incredible.
Sean said, how long is it going to take to rig her up for the throat cut, because we're losing the light. It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I said 20 minutes. So I put her on a motorcycle, back on my motorcycle, drove to this little studio, did her, and zoomed back, and Sean said, wow, you weren't lying. You said 20 minutes, and it was 20 minutes, you know. He was amazed that I wasn't lying about it, you know. So.
Why did Friday the 13th in particular, but really a lot of the slasher movies of the 80s, so resonate with an audience at that time?
I mean, it was the splatter decade, okay? So it was how were these obnoxious teenagers going to get killed, you know? And especially when it was Jason's point of view doing it, you felt like you were taking care of these obnoxious teenagers. Not all of them were obnoxious, you know. I mean,
but quite a few were.
Yeah. Well, Kevin Bacon wasn't obnoxious.
Yeah.
And he died gloriously. He's one of the most famous deaths.
Yeah.
But what made that effect was my assistant Tasso, who was pumping the blood. It was Tasso's hand that grabbed Kevin Bacon, but he was also pumping the blood, and I was doing the arrow. If you remember, Sean, the tubing came off the pump, and he grabbed it and blew in it, and that's what made the blood gurgle and shoot up. It was a happy accident.
Yeah.
But I think the audience that's what started it all. I mean, Dawn of the Dead, Friday the 13th, there was a double punch that started that whole splatter decade. On part 4, there was no death for Jason. Okay, so I had to. I thought that young Tommy, who was an effects kid, you know, Corey Feldman. He was also an inventor, and he would take a microwave oven apart and put a reflector on the shooter and melt a toy soldier on a variac that went from 1 to 10. On 1, it would melt a toy soldier. My idea was to stick that in Jason's head and cook his head from within and make it explode. But I had to sell that to the money guys, okay? So I called him, and what he said was, no. The Friday the 13th formula is killing naked teenagers in the woods with household implements, okay? And I'm thinking, this is a household implement.
Yes.
More so than a harpoon, which seems to have a
Exactly
curious
right.
presence on a lake.
But the point is, that's why the audiences are going to those movies, on the unique deaths that would occur, you know.
I think the industry was ready for it. I mean, you saw all the Giallo films before that in the 60s and 70s, and all the cool shit they were doing overseas. And America had yet to see much of that.
Oh.
So, you know, it was coming, and they capitalized at the right moment, you know.
Well, like you said earlier, too, that stuff was happening right in front of you. There wasn't CGI, you know.
Exactly.
That was happening right in front of you, and there's something about that. There's a collective dislike for CGI because there's an effort you have to make. You have to make an effort to pretend that it's happening.
You know, even with recent movies, when a director would say, hey, I'm really going to focus on practical effects. At most, I'm just going to get rid of some wire work, you know, some of the wires. Yeah. That gets them really excited. And I think similarly, the idea that you are working on the game, and even though it's a digital medium, you're approaching it from the fact that, you know, it would need to be replicated in real life for it to actually be in the game.
Well, my thinking is the same. I've got to create kills, just like I did when we worked on the first movie. Create kills. The more unique and the more interesting they are to watch.
But the other thing that happened, I think, was that it worked so well that the next thing that happened was, hey man, you got to see this. Come on, I want to go to the film and watch you react.
Oh,
yeah. Because
Well,
I remember one time, one of the screenings with Sean, we were sitting in a front row because we were testing and just watching to see how things were going. So we're both sitting in a front row, and of course, obviously, we knew when stuff was going to happen. So we would slide down in the chair like this and turn around and watch the audience.
Take somebody in the audience.
And
Yeah.
we would just watch the audience when the hit or whatever the kill happened. And it was so funny because you look and popcorn was flying and people were jumping out of chairs and Sean would be going, I got him. You know?
Oddly enough, it is kind of the perfect date movie because it's the idea that someone's going to grab your arm. You know, with all these horrific images on the screen, it can kind of bring certain people in the audience closer together.
You go to see some movie, let's say where there's a huge star, it's George Clooney, and George Clooney is going to get in real trouble. I mean, George Clooney is not going to get hurt. In this movie, all bets are off.
I mean, the chef can't even make it to the camp before dying. I mean, that really does say that, like, hey, everyone is fair game in this.
Not only that, the movie is over, the credits are about to roll, and Jason comes up out of the lake
right.
and grabs Adrian
Exactly.
King, you know?
That plays into the game very, very well because the notions of respawning, even with other multiplayer games, like you kind of assume, okay, I'm going to die, I'm going to come back in, or that I can help out my team. That, you know, you guys are playing on something that still isn't even that common with video games, which is if you're out,
You're out.
you're out for the session.
Those people that they get ejected and they're killed and they go out, they're having that horror film experience themselves, watching from the dead lobby, and they're talking crap on everybody and saying, no, don't go down there. Oh.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of this game so far, and we'll probably talk about it more later, but just like the films, you're never safe, no one's safe, you don't know what is going to happen, it's all dynamic, just like when you're watching the films.
Yeah.
And there's no rules, we have some things we'd like you to do in the game, but it's just survive. So everything you do is up to you, and that's the beauty of it, just like the films, you don't know what's going to happen.